Now I'll mention my contention to be happening is my intention. If you're looking for what's cooking, take a little trip. Camp Cucamonga is the place that's it. Cucamonga, oh yeah. Whoa. Camp Cucamonga. Cucamonga, oh yeah. Camp Cucamonga. Oh yeah. Camp Cucamonga. Oh yeah. Camp Cucamonga. Oh yeah. Camp Cucamonga.
You know what's better than the peak heat of summer? I mean, scorching hot mega rays of VHS summer coming down on our taut-toned, crispy bodies, lathered in baby oil and fried by the perfection of the sun. It's VHS nights, man. It's hot days, cool nights, VHS summer. I am here on a cool night under the stars of heaven, with the crickets cricketing away around a nice little campfire with one of my good buddies from Real Spoilers, contributing host of Binge Movies, Kevin R. Brackett. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, and better now that I'm talking to you. I feel like I just talked to you, and at the same time, it's been far too long.
Far too long. And every once in a while, you got to get out of the city, whatever that city is, and you got to get yourself into the woods. Got to get around a little campfire and tell campfire stories. That's what I want to do here today, but I don't want to tell any old story. I certainly don't want to tell no spooky story. I want to tell the story of Camp Cucamonga. The story.
Or How I Spent My Summer, or Lights Out.
Yeah, Lights Out, or How I Spent My Summer. Most famous to know is Camp Cucamonga, that aired in the summer of 1990. That was starred most of the ABC lineup, but aired only on NBC, which is very strange. I don't know how contractually that was all worked out. This will tank internationally because I'm sure there is absolutely no legacy in the global village that is our planet. I don't know that there is a legacy in North America. I don't know that there's a legacy in St. Louis, Missouri, or Akron, Ohio.
I have never, ever heard of this movie in my entire life before, and it has every single person in it. I don't know who paid to bury it. I don't know what happened here. I think that maybe Jennifer Aniston bought the rights and buried it. I don't know.
The current head of Paramount Pictures is one of the principal stars of this film. Did you know that? Oh,
my goodness.
No,
I didn't.
This current head of Paramount Pictures is Brian Robbins, who's the male counselor that Jennifer Aniston love interest in this movie.
I did not know that.
When they just dropped the top 10 CEO salaries for the movie studios.
Oh, whatever. No.
He's in the top 10. He makes $280 million a year. And in 1990, he was in head of the class in Camp Cucamonga. Wait.
$280 million over 5 years.
Yeah, let me correct that though. It should be he was in head of the class and Cucamonga. Cucamonga. Yeah. Cucamonga.
Can we talk about how this movie just starts?
Camp Cucamonga. Yeah.
Jason, when you sent me this movie, I thought you were sending me some old obscure movie trailer to watch, and then it just kept going and going and going. It starts out like a movie trailer because the thing just goes,
and it also just stops.
Bizarre.
There is no ending. Yeah. They just loop back to the music video. We'll get there though. We're gonna do this old school style, feature presentation review style, under the stars of the North Coast. It's a beautiful night out tonight. The breeze is breezing. It's not chilly. You don't need a jacket. If there is a chill in the air, the fire is cutting that chill off just a little bit. We've roasted our marshmallows. We've told our stories. Kevin did forget the ukulele and the guitar, so we don't have any campfire songs. It's all right. But instead of telling a campfire story that's scary, and instead of singing campfire songs, the campfire song in our heart is going to be Cucamonga. Yeah. Cucamonga. I don't know the rest of the words, so we're just going to sing that over and over again. But before we do that, earlier this year at the start of VHS summer, a phrase you coined, hot, wet, wild, VHS summer. We visited some camp movies, and you said these aren't even the top 5 camp movies. In that episode, it was 5 camp movies, and you were like, why are we doing camp movies? And why are we doing these? These aren't even the top 5 camp movies. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but does this remedy that a little bit now that we're about to do Camp Cucamonga? Does that then make that experience worth it for you? Or like, are we getting more into the territory of good camp movies, you think?
Well, I have to say that you sent me some options for camp movies before we talked about camp movies, and I course corrected us. I gave you some of the best camp movies, so your list was looking paltry.
No. On the episode, you swapped one title, and on the episode, you yourself said, "Go back and listen to the tape. These aren't even the top 5 camp movies, so you can't claim credit for them now." When you dogged it on the episode. So here we are with Camp Cucamonga, the greatest camp movie ever made. We're going to talk about it. We have to revisit the things that we set up on that camp episode, which we got some tropes. You have to have a bus pickup. You have to have kids on a bus.
Check.
You have to have outcast campers that just don't fit in no matter what.
Of course.
Yeah. There you go. You have to have pranks and bets. And boy, is there a prank in this movie made for TV. Don't spoil it. We'll get to it. You have to have a
hijinks.
You have to have a Parents' Day. We kind of get that. It's an unofficial Parents' Day. We'll get there. You have to have a rival camp. I can't remember if there's a rival camp in this. I don't think so. I think it's rival bunk.
I think they're just playing. Yeah, I think they're just playing themselves in the end.
There is a big race, though. You have to have a big race, and there is like a big event. It's the Battle of the Bunks. And you have to have insensitive depictions of First Nations people. And there are quite a few of those in this film. They all come from Pixar's own star of Cheers, John Ratzenberger. And you also have to have a summer love, a summer romance. And in this case, we have...
speaking of...
Go ahead.
Well, just speaking of John Ratzenberger, we kind of came full circle because was my first appearance on Binge Movies not talking about Toy Story?
I feel like you were on before that.
Was I on before that? Either my first or second appearance was talking about Toy Story.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've kind of, I feel like we've
so this is your last
back
appearance? Is that what you're saying? This is the bookend?
Oh, no. No, but you brought me back. This is my specialty. Yeah. John Ratzenberger movies. And, the cast of this thing.
Oh, hang on. We have a segment for that. Don't jump ahead, Kevin.
Okay.
This isn't real spoilers. We have segments. We've got structure here.
Okay.
This isn't you trying to apply structure to Joe as he just runs around like a cat with its tail on fire. Summer Love. You got the head of Paramount Pictures with megastar Jennifer Aniston trying to fall in love with each other, as well as Stefan Urkel. This isn't Steve Urkel. This is early proto Stefan Urkel trying to schmooze and get laid in the woods down with some stakes, and it gets real weird.
Kind of. And we can get into that kind of.
Yeah. So you already went there. We like to play a little game on these feature presentation reviews called Pass or Recast. We go through the roles in rapid fire, and you try to tell me whether or not the person passes the test for you, that you think they were a good person in the film, or you would recast it. Now, if you said it needs to be a recast, you got to give me another option. So, starting with Marvin Schechter, the brand new head of the camp. Of course, it is the star of Cheers, the star of Toy Story, the star of our hearts, John Ratzenberger. Pass or recast?
Are you talking about the accountant?
Yes, right. Accountant turned camp president.
The accountant turned, which I totally missed until I read the synopsis of this movie. I'm like, oh, he's an accountant? I don't know.
I think he calls himself the Colonel. Is that what he calls himself? Colonel?
Yeah, Colonel Schechter, I think.
Yeah, there's an implication that all of the camp directors have been faking stolen valor. They've all been lying about military credentials. So,
Colonel Marv.
Yeah, yeah. So what'd you think of his performance in this film? Colonel Marv, pass or recast?
Pass.
Okay, recast, George Wendt. Next. Chad Allen, who you would have recognized at the time from NBC's My Two Dads. Remember My Two Dads?
I do.
Okay. All right. You're old too then. Pass or recast. He's the other Urkel.
Pass.
Okay. I'll give you a pass there too. What about in one of her earliest roles, Jennifer Aniston as Ava Schechter? The stuck-up, snobby, sort of prude, wants to follow the rules, but falls in love with the bad boy. What do you make of her? Pass or recast? Is she good in this?
I mean, I don't think she's given much to do is the problem. I think that they somehow got a name she was on some list and said, we need someone to be in this role. But I don't know. I was surprised when she just basically comes and goes and hardly is any of the story. But I mean, for what she's given, I give her a pass.
Every single one of these child actors, these true children that are in this movie, made more money and was more well known at this time than Jennifer Aniston. And within
was she just fresh off Leprechaun?
I don't even know if she's done Leprechaun at this point. I think she's fresh off of the Ferris Bueller TV show Flop. This is like the third thing she'd ever done. And
okay.
I mean, Jaleel White was making Urkel money at this point. I mean,
right.
He was telling her to, where to get off. And, within a few short years, she would clip in a single episode everything Urkel ever made in his entire career.
Right.
Yeah. Insane. All right. Speaking of insane, what about Cameron Bure as the stuck-up sort of the Miss Piggy of the Camp Cucamonga ensemble? She's sort of into makeup and chasing the boy. In this case, I think it is Chad Allen who has become, he's sort of our Kermit, for lack of a better term. She's dumping affection on him while he's negging her, and she seems totally oblivious to the fact that he's not into her anymore. Kind of playing the opposite of DJ Tanner here in a lot of ways. Pass or recast?
I'll give her a pass on this.
Recast with Miss Piggy the puppet. Let's move on. Richard Hurd, Richard Hurd's a character actor who I think he's passed away. He played George's boss in Seinfeld on NBC for years and years. And then he was also just using Quantum Leap. He's just done a ton of stuff. He's a well-known character actor. He plays Thornton Bradley, who ends up being the head sort of camp inspector above the main guy who George Ratzenberger treats like garbage because he thinks he's just a lowly blue-collar handyman. Isn't that nice when your camp director is very classist, is like, oh, you're a dirty, lonely handyman, so I can treat you however I want. I can verbally abuse you. You don't even get to eat food while you're at camp.
Is he lower rank than Ernest?
I think based on treatment alone, yes, he is. Yeah, at least Ernest could eat. It didn't seem as Ernest was being deprived of food or a bed. Ernest got socialized medicine.
That's right.
When he got beat up, when he got beat to death after
the kids.
When he got concussed by Lou Alzado, Lou Alzado put him in full body traction.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
Oh.
He got free health care.
I give him a pass. I like him.
Yeah. Okay. What about Dorothy Lyman, who was most famous at this time for being Mama's daughter-in-law in Mama's Family? She plays Millie Schechter. She always kind of, at this time, she always sort of played, going back to Mama's Family, kind of like horny roles, and she's playing very horny here with John Ratzenberger as well.
Yeah.
Right. Like that, their whole thing is they just really want to get away for the kids long enough to be able to fuck. Like that is their entire
Can
character.
I ask why did they start a summer camp?
We're never really given motivation.
Are we ever?
No.
Are we ever clued into why these two would want to start a summer camp? Because I'll tell you what, I don't get it.
You know what they should have started? Hedonism 3. You know what Hedonism 2 is?
No, I don't.
Sex Island. It's an all-inclusive, all-adult resort. That is clothing optional and is known for, hey, you can do anything here.
Yeah, there you go.
They should have started Hedonism 3. They're swingers.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would have been perfect.
I give her a pass. I actually think some of her comedic performance is like, with what she's given to do, which is basically just above sitcom sort of shenanigans, she's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll give her a go. Where Ratzenberger's a little bit more one note. I think she plays like second banana to his stupidity very well.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll give her a pass. And what about Danica McKellar, a.k.a. Winnie from the Wonder Years, here playing Lindsay Scott, the bad girl. We know she's bad because she wears leather jackets and rock and roll band T-shirts, and her parents are getting a divorce. There's a lot of camp movies we've watched this year alone, Kevin, you and I together, where some girl's parents are getting a divorce. And, oh, man, then she just goes to camp and is misunderstood.
Yep. I give her a pass.
I would say recast. I don't know. Put Tiffany Amber Thiessen in the role. Because the idea is you're casting some of these kids against type, and then some of them you're definitely not. And so she's winning. So she was like, at this point in the run of the Wonder Years, she was like the good, sweet girl next door. And they're they're doing the opposite of that. I say you put Tiffany Amber Thiessen in that role, and then
that's fair.
You know, she's already in your NBC stable, and then you let her kind of play the bad girl, because we never really saw that out of her at that point. Okay, making an appearance that really could probably shock the world. Breckin Meyer as Cody. Pass or recast?
You know what? I'm gonna surprise you. I'm gonna give him a pass.
I'm going to give him a pass because I don't think he has more than 2 lines. Next is Brian Robbins. No pun intended. Pass or recast? Is he the head of the class in this movie as our bad boy, Bill Murray wannabe Roger Berg? Did you like him better than you liked Bill Murray?
I would recast him with
Armand DeSantis.
Matt Dillon.
You wouldn't recast him with Armand DeSantis?
Oh, not that I wouldn't.
I want to see a love affair between teenage Jennifer Aniston and Armand DeSantis.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah. And I want him to get in trouble, but nothing really happened to him. And then Jennifer Aniston claims she loses her virginity to Armand DeSantis, who at this point would have been 40 years old or 50 years old. And
we're not doing it.
You don't want to revisit that at all?
No. So wasn't Matt Dillon the guy in that same movie though? Wasn't Matt Dillon the really young Matt Dillon? So that's who I was thinking of. I'm like, put him in this role for this movie.
Yeah, he's Tatum O'Neal's love
creeper
interest.
role.
Yeah, or no. He's Kristen McNichol's love interest. You're correct.
Yeah.
Okay, what about Joseph Saviano, who is not Marilyn Manson, despite what you were told in the playground in the 1990s? You might know.
Is he the other one from the Wonder Years?
Yeah, you might know him as Paul from the Wonder Years, the dorky friend who plays the dorky friend in this. Like, everybody got to be different except for the guy from Wonder Years. They're just like, no, Josh, you're Paul for the rest of your life. And so, like, why was he Paul? Because he's like a relatively handsome guy. He just got a big old Italian nose. He can't help that.
Well, the problem here is they did not put glasses with tape on the middle on
That's
him.
right. That's right.
That's the
How
classic
do we know
mistake that
he's
they
a
made.
loser if he's not wearing glasses with tape in the
I can't tell. I mean, he may have an 8-pack. He may be handsome, chiseled jaw, but you put those glasses on, it instantly transforms.
He might be a stallion, sexually speaking, you know. But without the glasses and the tape, how do they do the acting, and I thought he was fine. I'll give him a pass. Wasn't he just obnoxious as hell? Well, yeah, but that's kind of, I mean, I took that as that was the character, and I feel like he played it to what was called for. As Max Plotkin. Max Plotkin. That is a name for sure. That's a real human name that real human beings have in the real human world. Oh, yes, absolutely. The only person in this movie who did not exist on a sitcom before, during, or after is Tasha Scott, the Stefan Urkel love interest, aka Jennifer Laura Winslow. They don't even give her a last name. She's just Jennifer. Every other character has a last name except for her. What do you think of Tasha Scott, who is like an actual child? Let me rephrase it. She looks, because I don't know who she is, she doesn't come off as a Hollywood kid. The rest of these kids are Hollywood kid actor They're famous child actors. She was just a kid. She might have been an actor, but certainly wasn't famous. What did you think of her as Jennifer?
I thought she was good, but I really thought that, I mean, they were basically like, you be Urkel and you be Laura. I mean, I'm a big Family Matters fan. I grew up watching that show. I love that show. I bought them all on digital. I rewatched them with my son not too long ago. We went through the whole thing. And like, I feel like this show was just grabbing things, and we'll get into it more, but it's like, they were like, Urkel it up, and you're Laura. He's going to try.
No, he was Stefan Urkeling it up.
He have you watched Family Matters?
He was not.
Stefan
Urkel.
is cool. Stefan is cool.
This kid was supposed to think he was cool.
Well, this kid thinks he's cool.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But like Urkel thinks he's smooth too.
Oh man, no.
Stefan is cool. Laura likes Stefan. I mean, for a little bit before she realizes he's a jerk.
Yeah. What about Robo Urkel?
But yeah, no, not Robo Urkel. but
this movie, would you recast the part of Jennifer with Robo Urkel?
Well, now that would be interesting. I would actually, if that's an option. Yes,
I want Jaleel White acting against Jaleel White as his own Myrtle Urkel.
Yeah,
drag him up.
Oh, Myrtle. Yeah.
Okay, we are recasting Tasha Scott as Jaleel White in drag. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
It's always great to put a child in drag. And let's just skip to Jaleel White himself playing Dennis Brooks, who at this point was basically just taken over Reginald Vell Johnson's show. It was really Harriet's show because she got her own spinoff because she was such a popular character from Perfect Strangers.
I know he was just he just visited her.
That's right.
Carl was just visited her in an episode, and then
Harriet was
really
associate character. She was the elevator operator at the department store, or whatever, at Perfect Strangers, starring Bronson Pinchot's Baki Bartakamoose from Meepos.
Yeah, and Urkel was supposed to be a one-off character, and audiences responded, and he became the star of the show.
And all of a sudden, Harriet didn't have lines anymore.
Yeah. Oh, and then they fired her at like in the last season or last two seasons.
Last two seasons when they moved over to CBS.
And she just disappeared. Just all of a sudden recast.
Well, yeah, we got the fake Aunt Viv and we got the fake Harriet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Second Aunt Viv, I could kind of get with a little bit. I never, ever, ever, ever bought faux Harriet. I never bought her as a replacement. And by that point, Urkel's going to space. Urkel's doing this. Urkel's doing that.
It was wild wild in the last season of that show. He's
transforming Carl into a car. He makes Carl invisible, so therefore Carl doesn't have any lines in the episode. It got real weird, you know.
In a couple of weeks, Harriet, Eddie, Laura, Grandma, Aunt Rachel, Little Richie, and the other little kid are gonna get teleported to another dimension. And then Steve injects Carl with his own DNA, so Carl turns into another Steve Urkel. That's two Steve Urkels and no family on a show called Family Matters. How the fuck does that work?
Listen, Rich, I don't know what to tell you. Urkelmania is unstoppable, okay? He's a phenomenon. There's nothing we can do about it, okay? It's up to him.
No. I'm an actor. I'm a fucking actor. I am a real actor. I did Richard III. I was in True West with Sherman Helmsley. I was in Die Hard, damn it.
It got weird towards the end. But I mean, I think, okay, I'll give him like one step up from Steve Urkel, but he's pretty much Urkel with a little bit, you know, he doesn't have the glasses, but he's the same. You
just said it. He doesn't have the glasses, so he's not Urkel.
You're right.
He's cool.
You're right. He
doesn't have glasses.
But he's not cool. Stefan is cool. This kid is he's a dork, but he thinks he's cool.
He's not a dork. He's a dipshit. And
he's annoying. He's annoying. He's annoying her just like he annoys Laura.
Now, pass a recast. G. Gordon Liddy. That's right. The man who spent time in prison for being involved in espionage due to Watergate. Is he the best sort of domestic spy who spent time in U.S. prison, that ever started a children's made for TV and movie? You think?
Well, there's a lot of competition in that specific category, but after watching this film, I do believe he is the best. Yes,
it's like putting Roger Stone into a children's movie now and just be like, okay, well, you can start your second career, Chuck Colson, as a Christian evangelist, or you can start your second career as doing TV movies with child stars, G. Gordon Liddy. How fucking weird is America, man?
I think they should probably put Rudy Giuliani in some kids' movies. That should end well.
He's already in the second Borat. I think that's enough. I think we saw enough of him. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I thought this guy was great, so he's getting a big pass from me.
I think it's let's move on. What do we think of Sherman Helmsley, who was at this point starring in NBC? I believe it was NBC's Amen. He plays Herbert Himmel, which definitely seems like the name of a Nazi. But
I mean, he'll always be George Jefferson.
Oh, he's George Jefferson for sure.
Yeah.
But was he in 227 as well, or did he play his character from Amen in 227? I can't remember. No, I think Jackie was in Amen and played somebody else in 227 before she was the mom and sister. I think that's right. Anyway.
Okay.
Sherman Helmsley is in like 3/4 of this movie and then disappears and never returns.
He played Thurman Fox in 227. He guest starred in the episode The Big Deal.
Okay, there we go. How weird is it that at a certain point the movie just like hands itself over and goes, okay, Sherman, be funny for the next 25 minutes. And then he's like, well, my job here is done. And then he just leaves. It's strange. The entire middle of this movie is the Sherman Helmsley story.
Yeah, it is really strange. I think there's something weird going on with scheduling conflicts. They got all these TV stars that were on their separate shows, and I'm pretty sure they said, you film this week. But I mean, it's George Jefferson. He's going to get a pass.
Yeah, I would agree. Now, would you give our final pass to Patrick Thomas O'Brien? Any clue who that is? He plays Virgil. He's just at the very beginning. He's the original handyman who kind of gets fired from the job. You know who that is?
I can't think of who that was.
That's Mr. Dewey from Saved by the Bell.
Really?
The math teacher. Remember Mr. Dewey? Who also returned for the Saved by the Bell reboot, which you watched on Peacock.
Oh, yeah, you know it. I did watch the first episode of that, but that's about as far as I got with that one.
That's as far as you got?
No, I just watched the first episode.
If they didn't take it off, the first episode's shaky. If they didn't take it off for tax purposes, there's only 2 seasons, and there was only like 8 episodes apiece. The funniest thing I've seen on television in the last 10 years happens, I think, in the second season of Saved by the Bell. That show ended up getting so good. It was hilarious. I made somebody watch it. They were like, Saved by the Bell. I was like, just watch it. And it takes a while for it to find itself. And when it does, it is so funny and sharp and meta. And like the whole show becomes a critique of Hollywood producers, Hollywood reboot culture. It all becomes like this meta commentary upon itself. It's incredible. It's so sharply written. It's one of the funniest shows that's been on in years.
But the problem is it's on streaming, so you don't get more than 2 seasons.
Correct.
You can't find your groove. Correct. Just when you find it, you get canceled. You get written off. Right?
Not to say there's like not funny stuff in the first season. They're trying to balance a lot of different. You can feel that they're like, how far can we push? And by the end of that first season, you start to see the direction it's heading in. And the second season comes back, and it's like a spiritual successor to like a Community or 30 Rock or something like that. Yeah.
Is Mr. Belding still around?
He doesn't show up, actually.
Really?
No. Nope. Dennis Haskins does not make an appearance.
Commercial alert! Commercial alert!
Mom, we're thirsty!
Well, I've got 2 glasses of Sunfizz coming right up.
Sunfizz, that's our favorite!
That's because there's a delicious ray of sunshine in every drop!
Come on, guys.
I'm filled with nature's goodness! Hey, what's with you people? I've got vitamins and minerals!
Trust your gut, not some cartoon character.
So this movie opens with us on a bus headed off to camp. We're not going to school. We're going to camp. Jennifer Aniston plays the put-upon counselor bus driver, while Winnie Cooper is a bad girl with a bad attitude because she's got a leather jacket, and her parents have a lot of problems. And we know her parents have a lot of problems because the mom is only given one line. I'm having a lot of problems right now with your dad. That's all the mom says when we see her in person, when we see her in a flashback. When she calls her on the phone and says, Mom, I'm not happy here. I'm thinking about taking my own life. All the other children are bullying me. And the mom says, you're going to have to deal with your own problems. I don't have time for this. I have my own problems. I have a lot going on right now with your dad. Goodbye. And then hangs up on her.
Great parenting.
If you could distill the early 90s into a human being, it's at least early 90s television, what kids on TV look like in the early 90s, it's Breckin Meyer. He's got the weird fucking 90s hat that people only wore from 1990 to 1991. He's got like the oversized, crazy pattern, every color shirt that people only wore from the late 80s to the early 90s, so basically until grunge hit. He's 90s out to the max.
Right.
Yeah. And then we have Brian Robbins, who's trying to do his best Bill Murray impression, whose entire character is he keeps fucking different female camp counselors who don't have names and aren't characters. And we believe it's all going to lead to a great romance between Jennifer Aniston. They never bother to give her a character either, and she disappears for 45 minutes.
I don't know if she wasn't a name yet. I don't get it because the way that she's in this movie and billed like one of the top billed people, and maybe that's retroactive, but I expected her to be in more of the movie. I'm like, oh, it's early, they're going to use her, but no,
she's like supposed to be the main female
disappears.
lead.
Yeah, and she just completely disappears for most of the movie. She plays the daughter of John Ratzenberger's character, and she's just giving nothing to do in this film.
Nothing. Ratz is given a lot to do, though. He plays an extremely horny camp director who's recently taken over the camp. He's, like you said, he's Jennifer Aniston's dad. And
he's an accountant.
He's an accountant, apparently, which means nothing. And he announces to us the yearly competition, which is the Battle of the Bunks. Troy, aka Nobody, there's another kid who shows up in this movie who is like the star athlete of the camp. We don't see him after the first 10 minutes, and he shows up in the last 10 minutes. They introduce this character as if he is going to be part of this gang of kids. Like he's going to be one of the central figures of this movie because he is like the jock of camp. He's the golden boy of this camp. He is never seen again. It's the strangest, the pattern, the flow, the pace of this thing is bizarre. It is so strange.
It is cut up, and I think they had like U4 film this week, U6 film this next week.
You couldn't get the kid who played Troy for all 4 weeks. You film this goddamn thing?
Yeah. I don't get what they were doing, but the way that it was edited and the way that characters would come and go for long chunks of time really makes me think that they had a very limited filming time, and they just filmed almost like these little side skits.
Everything's
or
a vignette.
You know?
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like all vignettes, and they're strung together, and you sometimes at the beginning and at the end they put them together. Like they filmed all those scenes in a couple days, and then they're like, okay, everyone go do your thing and rejoin, and we'll stitch this all together.
Okay. Now I would believe that to be true, except for the fact that there's 16 minutes of behind the scene footage available on YouTube, Kevin. And I watched all 16 minutes. Did you watch it?
I couldn't make all 16 minutes. I made about 10 minutes of it.
So when YouTube, the algorithm was like, people also watch I Am People because nobody else was watching both. I created that algorithm. That algorithm, that entity did not exist. Right now, an entity has been given birth to. It's simply tracking who watches what after they watch Camp Cucamonga.
Well, let me tell you. Okay. First of all, so this, as we've mentioned before, was a made-for-TV film.
Correct.
This movie is exclusively available on YouTube.
That's right.
But when I say exclusively available, I mean by a channel called Right On Dudes.
Well, there's more than one rip on YouTube, though. If you look hard enough, there's more than one rip. That's the main one. Though.
I did. Yeah. I saw another one, and it wasn't any better. I tried to see if there was, any better. So if you want to watch this movie other than the dudes on YouTube that uploaded it, you can spend $100 on Amazon for a DVD.
Yeah.
Or you can spend, I believe, $60 for the VHS.
Yeah. Did you spend the $60 for the VHS since you're now a VHS collector?
I am now subscribed to Right On Dudes, and we're good. We're good.
If you were to get a copy of Can't Cook Cucamonga on VHS in the mail, would you be excited about that?
Oh, nothing would be sweeter.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind. Did you notice that when Troy, who is again what disappears out of the narrative, when he first meets Jaleel White, did you clock at all what he said to him?
No.
He first meets Jaleel White because Troy is a little white boy, we should say. And Troy wins all the athletic awards and most valuable camper and everything, right? When he first meets Jaleel White's character, Dennis Brooks, he says, "Wow, you must be a good athlete." To which Jaleel responds, "Not every black kid is Bo Jackson. I'm terrible at sports." The first thing that they write this character to say to a black child is, "Nice to meet you. You must be great at sports." Isn't that strange and racist?
It is very strange and very racist.
And did you notice that the black boy can only really be sexually attracted to the black girl and vice versa?
Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm talking about. Is it's like they just planted. They're like, yeah, here's this thing on Family Matters. To me, at least from watching Family Matters so long, it just felt so strange that they were basically like, here, you two be these same characters. And man, they used to do that a lot. And I'll tell you, it hasn't gotten necessarily much better because I think of the last Star Wars movie.
Yes.
And how they erased the whole John Boyega, Daisy Ridley thing. Like that would have been great.
Yeah.
That would have been a great romance as a part of the plot. And then they're like, oh no, out of the all the galaxies, all the solar systems,
Lando's maybe bastard daughter, maybe.
It's just so cheap to be like. I mean, he could be with anybody.
Mascanada. Babu Frick.
Anyone.
Babu Frick.
Yeah. Babu Frick. Anybody. And they're like, oh, here's the other black character in this movie. I mean, it's so weird that in 2019 or whenever that was that we're still doing that. But yes, it is very obvious with them doing it in this one.
Are C-3PO and R2-D2 a domestic partnership?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. That's all. I've always
you think that little hand that sticks out doesn't just do more than a lighter? That's more than a thumbs up, my friend.
What other kind of attachments does he have?
He's checking his oil levels. I'll tell you that much.
Wow, a lot of ports and interfaces. Wow.
Those noises. I mean, you don't know what those translate to, but those beeps and boops were pre-recorded during some intimate times.
Wow. Yes. Right. Okay. All right. Okay.
You asked.
Yeah, I did. I got what I asked for. Then Dennis, aka Jaleel White, turns it around because him and Frankie, Dennis and Frankie, who's played by Chad Allen, decide that all the boys should get together, grab their camcorder, and go directly into the ladies' showers through the floorboards. And Troy's like, I don't know, guys. I don't think that's right. I don't think you should watch people when they shower. To which Jaleel White says, Troy, why don't you stay back and polish your trophy? Which is clearly like if you don't want to go see naked girls, why don't you just stay here and jack off reference? I thought, we're about 15 minutes of this movie, and it's gotten racial, it's gotten sexual. John Ratzenberger's, putting his wife in a sex swing in front of the kids. It's weird.
Yeah, I had that one actually written down. That was the line. That was the line of the movie for me. You can just stay back here and polish your trophy. Like what? It's so. I mean, that's such a '90s thing.
It's
like,
very much
it's so random.
You know, another '90s thing. Another '90s thing is when groups of girls get together, they have to sing Motown. Whether they're singing into whether they're singing into a wooden spoon, whether they're having a pillow fight, playing with Ouija boards, stiff as a feather, light, or stiff as a board, light as a feather, summoning Beelzebub. They're always singing Motown. Girls get together and sing Motown, even if they're prepubescent girls in a shower that the movie films for an uncomfortable length of time above the clavicle to give them the appearance of being nude. Again, this was on TV. I don't know who this is for. Who is this for?
That's a great question. According to how many people have ever heard of this movie, I'm going to say no one.
That's not true. You've heard of it. You begged me to cover this.
I think your memory is a little bit hazy, sir.
Okay.
I have never heard of this film. Never.
You didn't watch it when it was originally on?
I did not watch. I was not checking my TV guide, the listings for this. Okay, I tried to watch. The reason I found the behind the scenes thing, let me jump back that for just a second. So you sent me the link.
Yeah.
I watch it. I think it's a trailer. It just keeps going. I look at the time. It's an hour and a half. I say, what is this
it's a
thing?
feature-length
And then
film.
the title card comes in like 20 minutes into the movie.
Yes.
Camp Cucamonga. And it's like, okay, this is crazy. So I go on YouTube and I just type in Camp Cucamonga because I'm like, what else is out there? Does anyone have a better copy of this movie?
Yeah.
Is there a story? Is there a great love for this? Are people writing video essays on Camp Cucamonga?
Yeah.
And I find this behind the scenes thing, which I'm guessing is a rip off the DVD. I can't imagine this would come out in any other format. But I found the behind the scenes thing, and that's where one of the lines in there, and I thought it was the character that's not Laura Winslow, and they say, "Oh, she's the oldest one here."
It is true. She's like 17 or something at the time.
Yeah, so that's why. So when you said she's like a young child, I'm like, well, they say in that behind. That's how I knew that she's one of the older ones.
Yeah, they also Jaleel White and the other kid who's not a character at all, who's not Troy, who's introduced at first. They rap and they do Digital Underground.
The one where they do the Humpty dance. The Humpty Hump.
Yeah, they do Digital Underground, and this is all.
See, I watched it.
Yeah, it's the entire song, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, they did introduce that kid, and then he never spoke another line in the movie. It's very odd. I think there was a lot of editing going on here. We'll keep going along. So the boys end up just knocking out the floor panel, the floor. I don't know what else to call it, and just sticking a giant fucking camcorder into the shower.
This movie is Meatballs. I mean, this is Meatballs.
But Meatballs didn't go that
TV.
far,
well,
and Meatballs was rated R.
Right, but the song, like, remember how Meatballs, that song?
Are you ready for the summer?
For the summer.
Are you ready?
That was the beginning of the movie. It would come up in all the main scenes.
Camp
it came up in the big. The exact same thing. All I could think of was not the rap song they make, but like the through line, the thing that starts on the bus when the movie just starts, that song, they interject it the same way Meatballs does. I think these people, they said, oh, make us a movie to air on TV about the summer. And I think they took Meatballs, and I think they took almost all the beats and put kids in it. And it just felt so much like the same exact movie. Yeah.
Oh boy. Insensitive depictions of First Nations people. Ratzenberger. Now, on the one hand, this is a reoccurring joke. So do you give it a little bit of a pass because he's obviously an idiot? So, and obviously he's full of shit. Like, that's like the bottom line is this guy's full of shit. He's stolen valor.
He's an accountant.
He's an accountant. Yeah. He's just a liar.
I mean,
So, because he
might be an accountant for these studios, for the guy that's making in the top 10. Maybe he's his accountant. Do you think he based this on his real life accountant?
Probably, yes. He's Cucamonga, which is, as you remember, is Navajo, which it isn't. Cucamonga is actually derived from a Spanish word which basically means a sandy place. But then he goes, later in the movie, he goes, Cucamonga is Hopi for hospitality. And remember, Cucamonga is this, whatever. He just picks a First Nations tribal group and then says, oh, it's this.
Yeah, whatever he wants it to be.
The movie then completely, as a feature-length film about kids at camp, deviates from the children for a good 30 minutes, 40 minutes.
Well, it's the different vignette, right? I mean,
and we go
do
straight into those sitcom shenanigans and the drama of Marvin and Millie mistake Herbert, aka Sherman Helmsley, as the inspector who's coming to vote on whether or not they can be open as a camp, which seems a little late because the kids are already fucking there.
They're at the camp. Yeah. That whole through line to me, and especially when the guy's like, you're shut down. Like, it's like they're at camp.
The kids are already there.
Do?
The bunk's already full. Yeah. The checks have already been cashed. These parents aren't getting their money back.
Yeah.
No. But because some convoluted thing, he's at his sister's wedding or his cousin's wedding, so he shows up in a suit and so he assumes that he is the inspector instead of being the handyman. And then we spend 30 minutes of watching John Ratzenberger try to bribe Sherman Helmsley by taking him out on a boat, taking him fishing, fetching his slippers, putting him into a bathrobe, giving him a reach around, feeding him off the grill, letting him fuck his wife.
I was gonna say, I'm surprised he didn't send the wife.
Well, yeah, the wife does flirt with him though. He's like, "Oh, go out there and butter him up," and she does. She's like, "Oh, hello." So it isn't a complete cuckold situation. It's not a incognito tab situation on RedTube, but we're getting pretty close. That's I guess is kind of my point here.
They should have had RedTube in it.
No. Who is this movie for? Because there is risque. It's a little like, okay, it probably go over the heads of kids in 1990, but it seems a little bit more. It's like mean and inappropriate than what you would think.
Because someone watched Meatballs. They said, hey, make this camp movie and put all these kid stars in it. And the person's like, yeah, I know just the thing. And they wrote Meatballs, which is an adult-centered film. And
I don't think Meatballs is this mean, though. This movie is, these kids are
they watched Ernest Goes to Camp and they watched Meatballs.
Probably,
right?
Yes. Or yes.
Now that's...
Aren't they? I mean, these kids are fucking ruthless to each other. Mean,
but do you
way.
think in the 90s do you think in the 90s at summer camp, I mean, especially at that time when no one was looking out for bullying and all that stuff, like,
well, that's the question I was going to ask you. Okay, we were both alive during this time, right? Were we assholes in the 90s?
I think other people were. To me, I wasn't the asshole.
You were Paul. Did you have tape on your glasses?
I didn't. I had a good optometrist.
Did you get your friends lost in the woods and then burn their only food source? Because if you did, you deserve that ass whooping.
Yeah, I did do that.
You deserve to be bullied for that. No child deserves to be bullied for just who they are. But if you do destroy the only food you have while you're lost in the wilderness, a little bullying goes a long way. I think bullying gets back on the table there. when you're inadvertently responsible for the starvation of other children, little bullying, little name calling, I'll let it pass. What I want to know is, were they writing this script did they have like 2 weeks? They get this camp and are writing the script like before they're shooting it. Like, okay, what shenanigans can we come up with? Because all of a sudden it's like, now the whole movie's about steaks. Not steaks.
Oh, yeah.
STAKES.
Literal.
STEAKS. Food.
Yeah, like the whole 20
steaks.
20 minutes of these kids stealing the steaks from the kitchen and then trying to cook them and eat them.
Literally dragging a charcoal grill through the woods.
It's so ridiculous. I don't think any kids would do that.
No,
that's probably the least realistic.
The purpose of the steak is the food at Camp Cucamonga is the shits. And it gives you the shits. And so the two kids, the Chad Allen character, the Jaleel White character, want to make out with the Candace Cameron Bure character and the not Laura Winslow character. And they're like, we want to make it with these girls, so we're going to take them to a secluded place in the woods and have a romantic steak dinner with them. There's only one problem. They don't know anything about the woods. They don't know how to cook.
Or steaks.
Or steaks. They have no idea how to cook anything. And so Paul from the Wonder Years is like, he's so desperate to be included, and he's so desperate for Winnie Cooper to be into him.
Well, who wouldn't?
Well, correct. To this day.
Right.
But he's so desperate, and she's like throwing him pity. She's like, okay, I'll like go on a walk with you. I'll go into the woods with you if you just leave me alone or whatever. And he's like, I got a date, like, but you guys don't know. I got this patented method, and I know the woods. And I got a perfect spot, and it's secluded, and no counselors will be able to find us, and we'll be able to do whatever we want to these girls. I thought, this is just really fucking creepy. And so then, come to find out, he doesn't know fuck all about the woods. He leads them to what he calls his grotto, of all things, which is basically a bunch of pond scum in a mosquito field, like just like a And
he wasn't taking ladies to a setting like that.
He wasn't taking ladies anywhere. That's the thing. Why would those let's interrogate the logic of this movie here, Kevin. Why would Dennis and whoever Chad Allen's character was, why would they believe that this guy who's never been kissed, never been liked, never even been said hello to by anyone other than Danica McKellar as Lindsay, that he would have a romantic spot? Why do they believe that?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer. I don't think it makes sense.
The other thing that makes sense is, okay, they have to steal the charcoal grill from a line of charcoal grills, because that's apparently how they're feeding these kids. They're having a cookout. And why couldn't they have just cooked? Well, I guess they had to hide it because they stole them. I'm just thinking, why couldn't they just cook the steaks on the grill where it was, then stolen the steaks off the grill and then taken them into the woods? Because a good steak needs 15 minutes to rest anyways, Kevin.
Yeah, I think they were worried about getting caught. I mean, I get them not wanting to do it on site, but the dragging the grill around and all that, I just think that they didn't. I think the script probably was rushed, and they said, "What will kill 20 minutes of time? This will be funny, trying to cook steaks and not know how to do it." Yeah, it did. It felt like a sitcom episode, or like you said, vignettes, 4 or 5 sitcom episodes stuck together. But let
me ask you one more steak question, Kevin.
Oh, please.
Where do these boys? How do they store the steak? Because they steal it in the morning and they don't eat it until the evening.
Oh, yeah.
So this steak is not at room temperature because they're in a non-air conditioned bunks. Do they just have the steak sitting on a open plate, unwrapped in 90-degree July weather for 8 hours?
Lots of salt, like Christopher Columbus and the old sailors used to do.
Very strange. If they had eaten those steaks, they'd be dead.
Well, they cooked them. If they cook them enough, right, they can kill most of that stuff.
I don't think so. You know what else is dead? Phrases like this. Hey, it's the 90s. We don't say that anymore. Have you noticed we don't say that?
Well, certainly not.
No, but
do you mean like, hey, it's the aughts?
No, well, but here's the thing. People would say all the time, like, well, it's the 80s. And then it was like, well, we don't do that anymore. It's the 90s now. Remember, that was always the phrase. It's the 90s now.
What is it now? It's the 10s?
And then we said, well, it's the new millennium. And then we just stopped. Well, we'd be in the 20s now. But yeah, we just stopped. Nobody says hey, you know what it is? It's the 20s. Nobody says that.
No, I mean, sometimes I say it's the roaring 20s, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't think that's caught on. We no longer
you don't hear people saying that.
Yeah, we no longer reference the decade and like, hey, the spirit of the decade is it's the 90s. We don't do things conventionally anymore. Or hey, it's the 80s, conspicuous consumption. Whoa, we don't. Hey, just relax, do a little cocaine. It's the 80s. We don't like. It's just that was a thing we did for like 4 decades in a row. We just stopped.
Yeah, I think it's just society's collapsing, and
that's one way.
The world's at an end.
Future is uncertain.
People just do what they want.
Yeah.
There's just not much hope. Like, no one even has to justify it. There's no more, hey, I'm doing this asinine thing or this horrible thing or whatever, but hey, it's because whatever. People just do it now, and then they make up a reason why you're wrong, right?
Yeah, it's the 90s. We just don't do it anymore. We don't identify with our decades anymore. And the other thing is, like, there's no more discernible fashion. There's no distinct fashion from decade to decade. It's all a blur now. We don't there's no like this movie has a look to it, and you can pinpoint like, oh, well, that's from 1989 or 1990 or 1991.
That's a good point.
There's a bunch of kids who are nostalgic on TikTok for 2013 for some reason, specifically the year 2013.
Huh.
And I look back, maybe it's because I'm old, but I look back at 2013 and I'm like, other than some of the hipstery sort of stuff, like the real hipstery stuff where you look like you're from the 1820s, everything else is the fucking same. So it's like everybody's wearing the same fucking jeans they were. People right now, people are wearing low-rise jeans, high-rise jeans, mom's jeans, late 90s jeans, Jenko jeans are making a comeback. Jeans with holes.
I was going to say Jinkos.
Yeah, like it's just like a remix, a constant remix of all the things I've already lived through, but it's no further development. There's no progress.
Yeah, no, you're right. There isn't really a voice. There's nothing you could point to and go, that's this year's thing.
Or this decade. This is the decade we're in.
Or this. Yeah, I don't know. That's a great point. I mean, I know that for a while I've been rocking the graphic tees and the the khaki shorts, and that's kind of just how it's stayed. I don't know. A lot of people are doing that. I think that's kind of the adoption of nerd culture means that you don't have to wear like this is the jeans, this is the shirt or whatever. It's like most people just wear graphic tees now. That's it.
That's true. We've just given up as a society. We used to be a society.
Well, I call it high fashion.
I see.
You call it what you want.
Right. I call it giving up. Let me ask you, who is the protagonist of this film?
Well, I thought it was Jennifer Aniston until she had 5 minutes of screen time. I mean, that's a great question because to me, if I were to pick one, I think it's John Ratzenberger. I don't think the kids are the stars. I think it's his movie.
Well, I didn't say who the star was. Who's the protagonist? Who is the main character who we follow has an arc, who learns some kind of lesson, who we're supposed to be rooting for?
I think it's Ratzenberger.
The con man, the man who stole valor from dead soldiers that he didn't earn by being a draft dodger.
He's
tries to con and swindle his way into camp accreditation, even though by his own admission, he has a list of all the things that are falling apart at this camp, putting child safety in danger. A group of children goes missing in the woods. He's unaware of it for hours. And when he finally does go after them, he gets lost with them in the woods.
And there was the weird, like the sexual, the jokes about, the kids getting it on and and then, I think I'm already too late and all that.
Well, come to find out. So the kids do get lost because Paul takes them to his sex grotto. And of course, these are children. So they're like, well, what are we supposed to do here? And the guy who's only knows about grottos from reading his dad's Playboys is like, oh, well, we eat the food and we'll do this. And then he burns up all the food. He leaves them starving. But by God's grace, it turns out that Lindsay's deadbeat dad was an outdoorsman. Dad never makes an appearance. We never learn his name. We never see his face. We know nothing about him except for the fact that he's given her mom a lot of problems. So many problems.
A lot of problems.
So many problems that she can't even write her daughter at camp. So she's the only girl in camp who doesn't receive letters. When she finally does,
she does.
She gets one letter.
She gets one
and
letter.
And the letter is, "Hey,
divorced.
Hope you're enjoying your summer. We're getting divorced. Your dad's giving me way too many problems. I'm not living with it anymore."
What a weird end to this movie.
Enjoy the rest of your summer. I'm not coming to get you because I got a lot to handle with this divorce. It is so fucked up. Then Is this a children's movie? Like,
yes.
And the way she finds out her parents are going to divorce is that Cameron Candice Bure, who's like the mean girl of the camp, figures out that she's been mailing letters to herself so she doesn't appear like a loser from her parents. So she intercepts one of the letters and reads it publicly in the bunk to everybody in the bunk, only to halfway through realize this isn't a fake letter, it's a real letter. But she continues to read it. She's just sad when she reads the second half.
Yeah.
There's another option I wanted to say. you could stop reading the letter. Once you realize it's a deeply personal, life-altering, family-shattering bit of news, just stop fucking reading.
This reminds me of the Little Darlings thing, though. Remember when they're all going on about their virginities and all that stuff? It's, I feel like, I mean, I know there's tropes.
Yes.
There's tropes, but the movies feel somewhat original in their own way, but they hit the tropes like you listed off. And then this movie, for whatever reason, to me, feels like it was cherry picking parts of famous camp movies, which does lead me to believe that maybe it was written in a week or two.
In no particular order, right? There's no particular order to the story. For instance, we never find out how Candace Cameron Bure figures out that Lindsay is writing the letters to herself. It's implied she's writing them to herself. Then we just skip over it. We don't think about it for 25 minutes while Sherman Helmsley is dancing around a campfire telling a ghost story in a scene that goes nowhere because he forgets the end of the ghost story. And he's like, well, you have to make up the end yourself. And I thought, what the hell is this?
Is that, I mean, that's the writer going, I have no idea what the story is.
Just finish it yourself.
And then the executive said, that's brilliant.
And then the next scene is the middle of the day, and Candace Cameron Bure is like, intercepts a letter and is like, she's writing these herself. Like, how the fuck do you know? How'd you figure that mystery out? It's embarrassing. Anyway, so they figure out, thank God, deadbeat dad is an outdoorsman, and the only time he ever spent with his daughter was teaching her to prepare for the apocalypse. And she knows that she could take Candace Cameron Bure's dirty, dirty pantyhose and turn them into a fishing net, and they catch bass or something like that in her pantyhose, and that's to eat over a fire so they can live. The only reason these kids live is because the girl who likes rock and roll music knows how to survive in the woods, probably because her parents were going to dump her there at some point in the not too distant future, be like, you're on your own, kid.
Let me ask you this. Okay, if you had your choice and you were given two platters, one opens up, you've got rotting steaks and you've got pantyhose bass. Which one would you choose? I
wouldn't eat pantyhose sushi. But if the fish comes out of the pantyhose and gets cooked, I'd eat that over some steak Marilyn Manson burned beyond recognition.
And they both get cooked. I mean, so whatever that does to meat that's been sitting out in the 90-degree weather,
that's
like
true.
you said.
Yeah, right. I'd probably just eat the charcoal briquettes that are in that charcoal grill.
It's a good choice.
I mean, eventually, John Ratzenberger does show up. He sees the pantyhose hanging in a tree, and he's like, I tried to get here before it was too late. Maybe I am too late.
It's too late.
Implying these 11-year-olds have been fucking. It's very uncomfortable. It's like, what? Who wrote this? Again,
meatballs,
right.
man.
This is not a direct-to-video movie. This is a direct-to-television primetime NBC summer special for the family.
Gather round with the family, pop the popcorn. And mom is terrified, dad is like, it's just like, what are we doing here?
And dive into some racial stereotypes while you're at it, because they're like, oh man, we failed the inspection because Ratzenberger so verbally, physically, and emotionally abused the inspector. It turned out it was not Sherman Helmsley. It was G. Gordon Liddy. And so he's like, oh my gosh. Well, what are we going to do? The camp's closed now, even though the kids are still fucking there. What are we going to do? We lost our accreditation.
Well, make a rap video.
One of the white kids goes, we'll make a rap video. And,
well, hey, at least that was progressive. They didn't have Urkel say it.
But wait. You're right. They didn't have Julia White say it. Then every white kid in the scene turns to the only two black kids that are in this movie. Their heads are on a swivel, and they're like, can you teach us how to dance and teach us how to rap? And then it's the responsibility, cut to a montage of the two African-American children to teach all the white kids what rap is really all about, which essentially comes down to them completely pilfering Young MC's Bust a Move, beat for beat, to do Camp Cucamonga. Camp Cucamonga. Yeah.
It's fairly horrendous.
Then they make a music video. We watch them make the music video in a montage. Then we watch,
of course,
the guy watch the music video on his VCR.
Yeah.
He comes to the camp. Somehow we get the battle of the whatever.
Where is this video editing equipment?
No, because here's the thing. You're 100% right. I believe that they could maybe have a camcorder. Where do they add the green screen effects?
There's literally backgrounds. There are
transitions.
Yeah,
yes.
But the editing, they are.
Camp Cucamonga has a television studio, has an editing bay.
I mean, this is like some Camp Nowhere stuff here, where they've got some advanced. They've got all the advanced technology they're buying.
Yeah.
They got computer camp.
Yeah.
They got
you got TV editing camp. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but yeah, that's one of those things that I guess I don't know. I mean, back then, I feel like if I were watching this as a young kid, I would think of that. But I don't know. Did people think differently? Like, no one questioned that in the 90s, the early 1990s.
I've watched this thing when it first aired on NBC in prime time.
You watched this?
Yeah, I watched it live.
So you actually knew this existed. So
not only did I know that it existed, I saw it subsequently on video. I knew people who had this on home video.
Oh my gosh. This has zero cultural and I'm shocked. I'm shocked because I go through the cast list, right? And I'm seeing Family Matters and Cheers, and I mean, I'm just like, this is crazy. George Jefferson's in
the Wonder Years,
yeah, Jennifer Aniston,
yeah, George Jefferson,
Wonder Years. I watched all the Wonder Years on Nick at Night or whatever, all the reruns and stuff.
I watched it live, but I didn't even watch the rerun. Yeah.
But I knew all these actors. I knew these people.
Yeah.
And this came out, I would have been really young, but I mean, still, if people were watching on video or whatever, I don't know how I missed this, but I'm not kidding you. I'm not even watching it and going, oh yeah, no. The first time you sent me this link, it was just, what the hell is this thing?
You thought I made it
I've
up?
never heard of this.
I made this movie and sent it to you.
I thought you made this movie. I thought this was one of your famous pranks.
Yeah. So it turns out that the rap video is a great big pile of shit.
Oh, no kidding.
But I do have to ask the question, what is the bigger pile of shit? Is the bigger pile of shit the video these kids produce, or the actual pile of shit that Lindsay falls face forward into? Because the moment she finds out that her parents are going to be divorced, she has to put her feelings aside to jump on a horse to compete in the Battle of the Bunks. She's not properly saddled into the horse, falls off the horse, face first, into a real pile of shit.
There was something really weird.
Then, in her embarrassment, runs away covered in shit, and then wants to leave the camp.
But isn't there another scene where someone falls forward aside from that?
Into a pile of shit?
I felt like no, that was probably the only time that happened. Yeah. But there was another scene, I swear, unless I'm just thinking of that one, where someone falls on the ground, but it looks so fake. Like, it's like this movie feels like, okay, we got it. Like, there were no notes, there were no redos.
It has the production value of an episode of Goosebumps, which was shot in a day in Canada. Yeah.
I mean, our friends John Cherry and Ernest, I mean, that is like Citizen Kane compared to this movie. They're like, that movie, at least, Ernest Goes to Camp feels like a film.
Kevin, you think John Cherry and Ernest are Citizen Kane compared to Citizen Kane? Like, it's not.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like the way I got feedback on your episode. And somebody sent me a message, and they said, "Does Kevin know that Ernest is not a real person?" Because the way you talked about him is as if he was a war hero who fought for our country. Like, he fought in the Revolutionary War or something. Like, he died. Wait like, he went into the fires of 9/11 and pulled children out of the daycare or something.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. First
Ernest
of all,
is not a wounded warrior.
No, you have all those movies.
Yeah.
First of all,
Yeah.
I've checked them out.
Yeah.
Second of all, he is a hero.
Second of all, how dare you? He is a hero. He's an American icon.
Have you not ever seen the specials like "Hey Vern, It's My Family Album"?
Yes.
There are war heroes. They've fought in every war.
That's right. Yeah.
Every country around the world.
Yeah.
I mean yeah. Oh my gosh.
We know how Jim Varney died. How Ernest died? Agent Orange. It took him out. Yeah.
Don't spoil
That's
it.
canon. Yep. That's canon. Ernest Goes to the VA is the last movie that was ever made. It's pretty dark. It's like, have you ever seen Born on 4th of July? It's basically that, but with Ernest. He's in a wheelchair. He's soiling himself. It's pretty bleak. Yeah.
I'd watch it.
He goes to the Republican National Convention and starts screaming about, veterans' rights, and then just dies in his own film.
Ernest is a man of the people. He would never.
Yeah. Well, I did. The biggest laugh I got out of this entire movie was watching Danica McKellar run. It's not great to laugh at a child run, but she did like a Naruto run 20 years before Naruto existed. It was so strange.
You think they copied? Do you think they were watching this?
I did. Yes. I think they were like, remember when Danica McKellar fell into a giant pile of horse poop and they covered a child in manure and then made her run?
Yeah.
Yeah. Very awkwardly. They were like, that's Naruto. Yeah.
The last half hour of this movie is the games, the competition.
Insane.
And they just were like, okay, we only have an hour. We've already padded it with steak heists and an accountant
Helmsley
trying to
dance montage,
do his wife, and they're like, what? Let's have 30 minutes of these competitions. I mean, it's not a battle of the camps, right? So like, there's not the same stakes as the cool summer.
Here's the thing, Kevin. We don't even see the kids in the other bunks that they're competing against.
No,
it's like a baseball game. There's only 5 kids of the team. We don't even see the other team. We don't know who's on the team.
It's so weird and so boring. Like the stakes have never felt lower. Like at least with me, as much as I didn't care for meatballs, but like those competitions at least were entertaining, and watching Spaz with the egg and the three-legged racer.
Camp's worth of children, and even the background children were semi-reoccurring characters in the movie.
Right.
In this movie,
there was something.
Yeah. Troy only reemerges when he's on the pitcher's mound at Camp Cucamonga at the last 20 minutes. And then they abandoned him to go to like, okay, well, fuck Battle of the Bunks. We're going to go run off to whatever to go get Lindsay. Then they get Lindsay. Then they come back. Then they play baseball. And then Paul hits a home run or whatever. And they win the big game. And then they go to the dance. Like, immediately they're like, end of camp dance, and you're like, this is the end? Did it just start? Wasn't this the start of camp? They just kind of credited it. How was it over?
A month went by or whatever.
What the hell is this? And then Paul wins MVP of camp, and then immediately is like, hey, Danica McKellar, I don't like you anymore. I don't think that we should be exclusive. And Danica McKellar's like, we were never dating. But then she stops herself, and it's like, oh, okay.
Which is very smart.
Yeah.
Which is very smart, the way she played that off. But the whole thing I didn't understand.
Hang on a second here. Let me interrupt you. What are the lessons, though, that teaches you? That Lindsay needs to avoid her home life by assimilating into normie camp culture. The way that we know that she's now a good person is by the fact that when her mom finally does show up and go, I've been so selfish. I've been putting my own needs before you. Me and your dad have not been doing a good job. I will come take you home. We're still getting divorced, but I'll come take you home so we can process this as a family. And Lindsay goes, no, I'd rather stay at camp, Mom. And then the next thing you know, she's not wearing a heavy metal shirt. She's wearing a Camp Cucamonga shirt with squirrels on it, which was her big protest. So what's the lesson there? Ignore your family problems and go to camp? What's the lesson between her and developing incel Max Plotkin, who's like, her just allow a guy to be under the delusion that he's been dating you, even though you've told him you're not attracted to him, just to not hurt his fragile ego. And then on top of that, what is her prize for not bursting the ego of a beta like Max? She gets the other girl's boyfriend, who's an actual Chad. She gets Chad Allen, an actual Giga Chad. What are the lessons we're learning here? And Candace Cameron Bure. Well, hey, you're yesterday's news. A hotter chick showing up. You need to just accept the fact that Chad Allen wants to go with Danica McKellar because you're not very attractive, and you should make peace with that. So strange.
Yeah, I would never claim there are good lessons to be learned with this movie. You're the utmost leading expert in this film. Apparently, I think you're the only one that's ever seen this film. I'm still not certain that you aren't right on dudes and you did not film this movie and upload it yourself. But these could all be AI characters.
AI generated.
Feels like it could be. Well, yeah, it's just pulling from other movies, and it feels very machine learned. No, I don't. There is no lesson, and there's no point. But
there is no point to Camp Cucamonga.
But I would like to know, within the context of what we're given here, with the Max Plumpkin, whatever his character's name.
You say Max Blumpkin?
Whatever his name
Max Blumpkin. Wow.
I want to understand
whatever his name is.
What is his character's motivation to being cool all of a sudden and be like, hey, I think we should play it cool?
He took two of his own floating ribs out. That way he could,
We all know the story. But
he's on his way to becoming Marilyn Manson.
But I just don't understand why all of a sudden that he would ever think like, oh, he's so cool.
He won the MVP, the most valuable camper award, which is not what MVP is.
Which
I guess it's MVC or whatever.
Right. Yeah. But wouldn't in any world on Earth in this existence, would he not be like, hey, now let's hook up or what?
Now
like,
I've got a real shot with Danica McKellar because I'm a cool kid.
Instead of being like, now I'm better, it's like, well, now maybe she'll see me as an equal, and here's my shot. Like, it's just so weird.
It's toxic masculinity is what it is.
Yeah,
he learns that his only value as a man is how far he can hit a baseball, and the only other value that women serve is to inflate his own ego. And so when he gets two girls that want to spend time with him, he doesn't need the one who's a loser and was covered in shit and everybody laughed at earlier in the day.
Well, I think honestly what happens is this movie was made, in the 90s.
Hastily.
Very hastily. And I think what they said is that she's too good for that nerd and they didn't want him to get the girl. And it was the only way that they could how a movie with a good moral, a good end of the like the nerdy guy would find some self-worth and he could get the attractive girl like in a
Camp Cucamonga you can't
with a script, but we just said there's no morals, there's no lessons. And so at the end of this, they're like, oh yeah, we can't have that guy get the girl. So like he'll think he's too good and she'll be like, oh yeah, no, that's okay. I agree. Let's go our separate ways. And it was a very weird way to end the film.
The moral is lie, cheat, steal, rap.
Yeah. Rap.
Yeah.
Oh, it's something.
Find some kids of color to teach you how to have rhythm in your white bread bones. And just have a montage of them desperately trying to teach these white kids, these jars of mayonnaise, how to gyrate at any kind of discernible rhythm. And if you watch the 16-minute behind the scenes, that was apparently real too, because there's like an overhead shot of these girls trying to do like the line dance over and over and over again.
Yeah, I saw them.
And it was Tasha Stevens who was like trying to teach them. And ironically, the only one who even had like a semblance of rhythm, I think, was Danica McKellar.
Yeah, that whole music video thing was just something else. And I still would. I want the Camp Cucamonga 1.5, like the Lion King 1.5.
Right.
I would like the story of how they edited the music video. The whole thing I want to be about post-production. And in 1990, you know how long the export would be on those Pentium.
Oh, no.
Celeron, or-
I didn't think they were doing it by computer. I thought it was manual.
Oh, you think they were cutting?
I think they were
shooting on.
Yeah, with a tape. I think they were dubbing it. It's not digital.
Oh, jeez. That's.
Yeah, wow. I think they had to have like a real freaking studio, knobs and all kind of turny bits. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay. Well, yeah, I want that story. I would like the Camp Cucamonga 1.5.
Yeah.
And I would actually like Timon and Pumbaa to be in it as well.
That's fair enough. Does Disney now own Camp Cucamonga?
They must.
They must, right? They owned half these kids. They own their legacies.
Yeah.
Right. They own most of the footage of their childhood.
So this was an NBC movie starring ABC
kids. Yeah.
Kids.
Yeah. With NBC's John Chad Allen, I guess, would have been on NBC.
Yeah.
Sherman Helmsley's NBC, John Ratzenberger's NBC, but most of the kids are ABC at the time.
But this is like the first Marvel Sony Spider-Man situation. This is like
that's right.
They gave these kids a Spider-Man deal.
They gave Jaleel White the Spider-Man deal.
They did.
Yep. Yeah. What's he up to these days? Did I get him on the pod to talk about Camp Cucamonga? I'll never ever bring up Urkel because he hates talking about it.
He's selling weed.
Oh, that's right. What's his
purple Urkel?
Purple Urkel. Where's the Dennis weed reference? Where's the Cucamonga reference? I'm going to tweet him. There's no Cucamonga. Cucamonga sounds like a strain of weed, doesn't it? That's the sticky icky of the Cucamonga.
The Cucamonga.
No,
so I'm
sativa,
pretty sure
man. It really levels you out.
I'm pretty sure the order of things that Urkel would like to talk about: Purple Urkel because it's his business, and then I think it goes maybe Sonic, and then
the fast food chain.
No, yeah, his favorite fast food, and then Sonic the Hedgehog after that.
Okay, there's another weird example, right? There was 2 Sonic cartoons, one in syndication, one that was network Saturday morning, one that had high quality animation, one that was dog shit animation.
Yeah,
not connected. They didn't share canon. Nothing. He's Sonic in both of them.
It makes no sense. I don't understand.
He's on
that
ABC,
whole thing.
TGIF, doing an NBC summer movie. Who were Jaleel's agents? They were brokering deals with this guy that Tom, who plays Spider-Man?
Holland.
Tom Holland would be envious of the representation of Jaleel White.
He can only dream.
He only dreamed to have a Jaleel White deal.
Tom Holland's doing Cherry, wishing that he was making Camp Cucamonga 2.
He's like, what am I doing here? Yeah. Yeah, I wish I was. I was in Camp Cucamonga too. Yeah,
but let me finish real quick though. So it goes Purple Urkel, the weed.
Yep.
Then it goes Sonic, the fast food restaurant. Right. Then it goes Sonic, either or TV show, whichever one.
Both like chili
the
dogs.
Hedgehog.
Both have chili dogs. Yeah.
Right. So there is a Sonic tie in there somewhere, and then I think it goes to YouTube prank videos that he watches sometimes, and then under those with like a couple of pretty big spaces then is Camp Cucamonga. I really feel that Camp Cucamonga is not what he wants to be remembered for.
What he wants to be remembered for was still on Harriet Winslow's television series from her.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention. Then Family Matters, probably. Then
there,
Camp Cucamonga.
If I met him, I have 2 questions for him. One, tell me all about Camp Cucamonga.
You'd lead with that?
Yeah, that's my lead. Tell me everything. Give me
the
oral history.
Tell me about that sticky icky.
Give me the oral history of Camp Cucamonga. And when's the Cucamonga strain coming out with the Purple Urkel?
Yeah.
Then my next question. That's a 1A, 1B.
Wow, that was one.
Yeah, that's one question. Okay. And then my question number 2 is: do you ever wake up and blame yourself for what happened to Reginald Val Johnson's career? Do you have guilt for what you did to that man? That man was in Ghostbusters.
Oh.
He was in Die Hard. He was the first non-Cosby African American lead to be a primetime star as a father of a middle-class African American family. And you stole that. And now look at race relations in this country, Jaleel. What did you do?
Oh, jeez.
Reginald was the father that America needed. Instead, you left us with Cosby. and you left us alone. That's what I would say.
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
Carl
Yeah.
or Uncle Phil? Who is the better parental figure? Or who's your favorite? Those were two shows that I watched nonstop growing up.
I mean, the problem is, and we're almost at the runtime of Camp Cucamonga now. The problem is what family,
so we've got to double this?
we got to triple it. What happened? What Family Matters started off being, that Carl Winslow, I would put up against Uncle Phil any time of the week. The problem is,
but he became
those shows almost went in opposite order. Whereas, like, Fresh Prince got like more serious, kind of as it went on.
It got really like after school, special kind of.
And Family Matters got like more like bonkers.
It was just Carl and Steve, like like they were like Lewis and Martin and Lewis. They were just like It really was a straight man, silly man kind of thing, and it was like
that's all it was.
Yeah, it was just what could Urkel do to Carl? But
the early episodes where he's sitting down with Eddie and he's like giving them moral lessons, and him and Harriet are talking with each other, and we're dealing with issues in their marriage, and him moving his mom in, and him dealing with an elderly mother, and like that Carl. I love that Carl Winslow. I love the Winslow family. But when everybody else disappears, what's that?
But Carl's the everyman too, is what you have to think about. Where, I mean, Uncle Phil, as much as I love Uncle Phil, but it's like he is also extremely wealthy.
Super intelligent, extraordinarily wealthy.
I found like it's not, maybe he's not as relatable, although still a very good parental figure and very kind and everything. But I think Carl, like, you just are like, he's the dude, he's just like, he's a guy and doing his best.
Carl feels like, and this Uncle Phil would eventually become this, but Carl, early seasons, first 3 seasons, Carl Winslow felt like the sort of like almost like a real dad who, like, if you messed up, he would get very, very mad. But then your mom would have a talking to with him, calm him down, and then he'd come up to your room and try to see it from your perspective and try to relate. And then at the end, you'd be like, "So does that mean I'm not grounded?" He'd be like, "Oh no, you're still grounded. That just means I still love you, and I'm still proud of you."
Yeah.
And you'd be like, "Oh," and he'd give you a hug, and then you go play basketball together, like in the driveway or whatever.
Right.
That's what that felt like. And Uncle Phil he eventually got there, but that wasn't there. Because the other thing is, he's not Will's father. He eventually steps into that role famously. When he's like, "Why does he want me, man?" And that's what we needed. We needed Jaleel White to not have a father in this episode, or Chad Allen Tyler or whatever the fuck his name.
We needed something. We needed some kind of a voice of reason, some kind of a counselor, owner. We needed some kind of, like, if you look at something like
Meatballs,
Heavyweights, or Camp. That's not
that's Bill. Example, but here's the thing: Bill Murray and the kid who's an outcast.
Right. That relationship. You're right. Like, we need some kind of a
heart.
Yeah, some kind of a lesson.
Yes.
This movie feels like there are no lessons
There's no
to
heart.
be learned. Certainly there isn't. It's just a bunch of these vignettes. And John Ratzenberger never really learns anything. The kids don't seem like they ever.
No, there is no main character. No one learns anything. No one grows. No one
and
grows.
It just ends.
It just ends.
And there's like,
they just repeat the rap video again, and it fades to black. And it's like, what the fuck? There's no ending here.
Now I'll mention my contention to be happening. Is my intention. If you're looking for what's cooking, take a little trip. Camp Cucamonga is the place that's it. Cucamonga. Oh yeah. Whoa. Camp Cucamonga. Cucamonga. Oh yeah. Camp Cucamonga.
And the song, not the rap video, but that it's like summer. It's the same thing. It's the Meatballs thing, just remixed basically.
It's not the Meatballs disco, but it's the not the D's track. Right.
It's the I just play. It's like when the summertime comes.
Yeah,
it's that.
Summertime.
When the summertime comes, it's just over and over.
Summer. Yeah.
And they do that during the game, just like they do with the meatballs. They just keep playing this song over and over. So the soundtrack for this would be Summertime Comes, rap, and then Summertime's reprisal, rap reprisal. It's just like the two things back and forth.
Yep. Somewhere Young MC is wishing he got the royalty checks from Camp Cucamonga because they stole all of his bars. They bit off of Young MC hard. Where are the Young MC royalty checks, Camp Cucamonga? NBC Universal. Give the man his due. You stole his song. Anyway, if you were to give this movie a score out of 10, what would you give it?
I give this movie a 2 out of 10.
I would give it a 0 out of 10.
I was maybe being a little generous because there were moments where they were in focus. There were outdoors. They filmed not on a green screen, so I do give a little credit for that.
I guess that's true. That's where we're at now.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you have to give them some credit. Practical and
it didn't cost $300 million.
Those are my 2 points that I gave it. So essentially a 0.
You know what? I'll come up to where you're at. I'll give it a 2 as well.
Because
they use real cameras and there are people in front of them.
Right? See, that's 2 points, easy.
Yeah,
it's a baseline, really. Like
it's a slapdash script, but at least I know a human being probably had to use at the very least like a word processor. They actually keys had to be pressed for this story to be made.
I bet you they printed the scripts on paper.
Yes, I bet you they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Actually, in the behind the scenes, this is my final thought on it. In the behind the scenes, I don't know if you made it to the point where they showed just how many fucking people were behind that camera.
Was it within the first 10 minutes of the behind the scenes?
I think so. Because they're like, okay, like it's like, okay. Speeding, lights, camera, action.
Remember the one scene where he interviews the editor?
Yes. Yeah.
Just totally random. Yeah. He is in no other parts of the video, and it's the editor, which is very important. Yes. I mean, I've done editing. I'm not saying that whatever, but it's one day that the editor's on set, and the director decided that he would film the editor and be like, "This is the editor." He's also got Skippy in the booth with him too, and he's like, "Yep, I'm very happy with it." And they cut away, and that's it. It is the most awkward, random interview of a behind the scenes.
And here's the thing: this is one of the most awkward, randomly edited films I've ever seen in my life. I don't know what else that man has done before or since. That almost feels like a setup from the director. Be like, "So, are you happy with it?" Like, "Yep, I'm happy with it." So then he can be like, "Hey,
it's his fault."
Yeah, if you want to know what the fuck went wrong with Camp Cucamonga, it's that guy's fault. That's why he's in that video. So he could publicly be.
He has.
So you could publicly be like, "Yeah, I take responsibility for this." Yeah.
We didn't mention the cinematography. I had mentioned it was in focus. Cinematography by Peter Smokler.
Okay, that's. I see. What else did Peter work on?
Well, are you ready for this?
Uh-huh.
He's the cinematographer on This Is Spinal Tap.
What the fuck?
I know. Like,
this dude went from This Is Spinal Tap. What year did This Is Spinal Tap come out?
Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. He actually has a lot of TV credits, which I mean, this is a TV movie. Hold on. Oh, hold on. Pee-wee's Playhouse, 10 episodes.
God
okay,
damn. This guy's a legitimate person. Director of extra weird. Pee-wee's Playhouse was CBS. So you have a CBS cinematographer, ABC child stars, NBC adult stars in an NBC movie. How fucking weird.
I was also going to mention cinematographer on Problem Child 2 and 3.
Oh, well, okay. Those movies look like shit, and they look like Camp Cucamonga. So.
Now, wait. Okay. Hold your horses, Jason. We're unraveling some things here. I feel like we're really getting deep here. So this is Peter Smokler, right?
Yeah.
He's got a lot of credits. He has a credit on Family Matters, one episode.
He was like, "Hey, Jaleel, we got a deal for you."
So he got in for one episode. Yeah. He was the DP on 88 episodes, which may be all of them, of the Larry Sanders Show.
What the hell?
Yeah.
That's like an actually well-shot film.
Yes, he's got. It says there's 89 episodes, and he was the DP on 88 of them.
Jesus Christ!
So
then somewhere in the midst of all of that, he farted out Camp Cucamonga.
He even did an episode of The Office, which is interesting.
What the hell? Honestly, so he's done a lot of like faux documentaries: Spinal Tap, The Office, Larry Sanders,
kind of. Yeah. This is Spinal Tap was 1984, so that would have been 6 years before this.
Years he's doing Camp Cucamonga.
But I mean, smoker got to eat. I think I just broke Jason.
Oh shit! That's it. That's the end of the episode, I think. Where can we find you, Kevin, when you're not about Camp Cucamonga for 2 hours?
I'll tell you, where you can find me is on the IMDb page of Larry Harris, the editor of this film.
Oh, yeah.
So,
what else is Larry Harris edited? Oh God! Funeral videos. What else? In memoriam tributes.
No, this is a very strange movie with all these creatives behind it, because I'm telling you, this is strange. So Larry, he edited 36 episodes of Silver Spoon.
Isn't Chad Allen on Silver Spoons?
He may have been.
No, that's Ricky Schroeder. Ricky Schroeder was on Silver Spoons.
Yeah. So 2 episodes of Three's Company. Are you ready?
Yep.
Here it is. 112 episodes of The Jeffersons.
Wow, there's a Sherman Helmsley connection. Yeah.
So there's your connection. 2 Who's the Boss? He's got 2 here, 2 there of different things. Married with Children, 254 episodes. He's the editor from 1987 to 1997 of Married with Children. So this is right in the middle of that. Yeah. Unhappily Ever After, 93 episodes. Suddenly Susan, 66 episodes. The Drew Carey Show, 48 episodes. This guy, I mean, he's got a lot of work. I don't think it's these guys' faults. They've got a lot of other good work. I really think it's a shoddy script. I think maybe the director.
Well, who the hell directed it?
Someone I've never heard of, Roger Duchovny.
Okay, what else has he done?
So let's see, because we want to solve this mystery. We've got to figure out what is going on here.
Yeah.
So he directed, let's see, TV. So he's got just some random credits in the beginning. 1 episode of The Brady Bunch. 4 episodes of The Partridge Family. 38 episodes of The Love Boat. 38.
Okay.
78 to 92.
Yeah, quite a run.
10 episodes of The New Gidget. I've never even heard of that. 16 episodes of The New Leave It to Beaver. I feel like we're kind of on a downward trajectory at this point.
Yep.
Camp Cucamonga in 1990. Director of video, I think this is a music video, Object of Desire in 1990.
Okay.
And his last credit is It Came from Outer Space 2 in 1996, a TV movie.
Did he pass away? Is he still with us?
Let's see. Born July 25th, 1938. I don't see
date, death date. I'm going to find his retirement village and say, sir, walk me through Camp Cucamonga. What was your vision?
Yeah. Wow. So he was a working director from 71 to 96. And then, I guess he just retired.
Wow. Yeah. Well, he started in his 40s, apparently, because he was born in the 30s almost. So he's like in his late 30s, worked into his basically into his early 60s, and that was it.
Yeah, he only had 2 other credits. He was a producer on it, Came from Outer Space 2, as odd as that is. But his only other 2 credits, he was an assistant director or second unit on The Pigeon, a TV movie in 1969. Okay. And he was an assistant director on That Girl, 1967 to 71.
What's his name again?
But then from Roger Duchovny.
Okay.
Duchow.
Kevin, when he gets his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, will you go there with me?
Well, yeah, we're going to travel there for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we can just to interview him about Camp Cucamonga.
Yeah.
Ulterior motive. Yeah.
Wow. I can't wait. I can't wait till he passes away. That's not what I meant.
Oh, no.
I just can't wait that when we get the in memoriam for him at the Emmys or Oscars, it'll be like,
it'll be on.
It'll be just all slow-mo footage of Camp Cucamonga. And then finally, Yo, Your Dude, or what's the guy's name, the YouTube channel? 2 Dudes in a Bungalow. What's it called?
What?
2 Dudes in a Bungalow?
What are you
what's it called?
I don't think that's a thing.
Oh, well,
2
whatever.
Dudes in a Bungalow.
That YouTube channel will be in its glory because there's only 2 or 3 YouTube channels that are the sole preservationist of this film. And now
the 2 dudes the writers right on dudes.
Right on dudes. Okay.
Like right on dude, WRIT.
Golden Globes, the Emmys, and the Oscars, they're gonna have to contact them for footage to incorporate into the in memoriam for when Joseph Slattery or whatever his name is passes away.
Dude, Joseph Slattery.
What's this?
These are not. His name is Roger Duchovny.
Yeah, okay. Roger Duchovny.
Joseph Slattery.
Okay.
Is that John Slattery's uncle?
I don't know who John Slattery is.
He's Roger from Mad Men. He was Howard Stark.
Oh, Howard Stark. Yeah.
Howard Stark.
Yeah. Never watched Mad Men. Never watched Lost.
All right. I have a question.
Yeah.
Is there any way that we could either you and I pool together the money or we fundraise from the crowd, the listeners,
to get him a star on the Walk of Fame? You pay for those. They're about $5,000.
Yeah. No, I wasn't thinking that. No. Is there any way that we can buy the $100 DVD on Amazon to see what it looks like? I have to see the production quality.
If you're listening to this episode that is now 40 minutes past talking about the movie, we need
$100.
We would like to crowdfund a single DVD copy of Camp Cucamonga that we will split between 2 of us living in completely different states. We'll ship it back and forth.
We'll do
to each other.
We'll do a photo shoot.
Yeah.
I'm
not joking. I'm putting this out there as a true plea to listeners to the show. Yeah. Whether it be everybody, 10 people give $10, or one person gives $100.
We have one benefactor,
or 100 people give $1. It doesn't matter what the breakdown is. Like PBS, your money will go to keeping this show in the air and allow us to get a DVD copy of Camp Cucamonga to see, hopefully, a 720p transfer of this film, so that
it's not a Blu-ray.
So that
it's going to be 480p.
So that Kevin can use AI upscaling technology, so we can create an unofficial remaster of Camp Cucamonga.
Hey, I was just thinking, do you think that we could be the ones that release we could be the distributor of the Camp Cucamonga Blu-ray?
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not joking about this. I've wanted to buy the rights to a movie. The show, Binge Movies, owned the rights to a film. I don't care what film it is. Binge Movies owns the rights to blank, right?
You think we found it?
I think we should try to. I think Binge Movies. I think, first of all, we should try to buy the DVD.
Well, yeah, that's a good
start. I almost feel like buying the DVD entitles us to the rights to the film because it's been on YouTube.
Well, it's been on
YouTube uncontested for 13 years. I don't think anybody's looking for it.
I'm pretty sure that if you buy the DVD, you get the rights with it. That's just
right. Then I want to upscale it with AI to at least 2K. Okay. And then I want to put a 2K transfer out on YouTube. And be like, Binge Movies presents Camp Cucamonga. I think it's worth it.
Do you think we could partner with Arrow for a special 4K edition?
Well, I think we could take our 2K as a proof of concept to maybe Vinegar Syndrome or Arrow or Severin or somebody and be like, hey, Camp Cucamonga. I don't even know where to begin to look to who would currently own the rights to this. But I would like to buy the rights to Camp Cucamonga.
Yeah, so let's start there. If we can get the
let's
DVD,
start with the
it's
DVD.
$100.
We'll go down the rabbit hole of me trying to figure out how to buy the rights to a movie.
Perfect.
Yeah, this is going to be the how do I want to put this? Magnum opus.
This is your legacy.
This is my legacy. I want to be the sole owner of the rights for Camp Cucamonga.
Could you imagine if somehow you get the rights and you re-release it and it gets a bunch of buzz, and then Jennifer Aniston comes to you and says, "Please, I will pay you any sum of money. Do not proceed with this."
Yeah, make this go away. I'm gonna if I can properly secure the rights, I'm going to try to then commission a behind the scenes, like a documentary anniversary. Let's go to Candace Cameron Bure, who I think I could probably get at least via Instagram to talk about it.
If you don't tithe at her church or something.
That's exactly right. Start a Kickstarter, and then I can run a scam like those guys that make all those In Search of Tomorrow and In Search of Darkness movies, which is just a giant fucking scam. I can do that, but it'll be In Search of Cucamonga, and it'll just be me trying to track down all the stars and living behind the scenes players of Camp Cucamonga, do a feature length documentary that will be included with a brand new 2K Blu-ray of the film.
Wonderful.
The ultimate
can I just
celebration of 90s kid culture, Camp Cucamonga.
Can I just give you a couple facts about this film currently?
Sure.
It is number 26,864 on the movie meter on IMDb.
Yeah, how many movies are on there though?
26,865.
You joking?
No, I don't know.
Yeah. There's going to be way more movies than that. That's way higher than I ever would have thought.
But 26,000, so of all the films on IMDb, 26,000. Now, wait a minute. Now, this is interesting. Figure this one out. See if any, or maybe some of our internet detective listeners can figure it out. In the past year, this movie has seen a surge in popularity. It is down this month. It is currently 26,864. It is down 21,896 month to date, meaning that from June 11th to June 18th, it was number 4,968 on the movie meter.
Let's get that son of a bitch back up there, Binge Movies. Everybody go to IMDb right now and search for Camp Cucamonga.
What happened? Did they find out? Was there like they found out someone died on the set or something, and there was like an investigation?
I have no idea, but let's get those numbers back up. Let's at least get it to 24,000. Let's get those numbers back up.
This has 257 10-star ratings.
There you go. You don't think those people wouldn't pay $39?
They would all buy one.
For a
oh my gosh. They're jonesing. Those are 10-star ratings based on watching a YouTube video.
Exactly.
You know they'd at least give it an 11 or 12
with a Jaleel White commentary track where he does it as the voice of Sonic.
Oh my! While smoking purple.
Oh my god! We could put out two versions. We could put out the Camp Cucamonga just standard, like the anniversary edition, and we could put out the Purple Urkel edition.
There's so much potential with this film.
Yeah, there is.
So much potential. Wow.
Well, I hope that was worth an additional 50 minutes of your time, folks. Seriously, though, let's find a way to get that copy of the DVD into the hands of either Kevin Brackett or myself. And then, the next step in our journey will be trying to buy the rights of Camp Cucamonga.
Love it.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, Kevin, you're on Real Spoilers. You
yeah.
You have a website,
Real spoilers.
reviewstl.com. You have a Patreon, patreon.com/real spoilers, where you have content where Matt F. Is it Basler or Bosler?
It's Bosler on his birth certificate, Basler to Tom.
Okay. Matt F. Basler. I prefer the Tom, transliteration.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Basically watches a bunch of horror movies with Joe. Kevin occasionally, he has to edit all of those. Kevin occasionally does the box office. There's all kind of other content that goes on there. They do at least one episode a week with the biggest release of that week. They talk about it. It's like a book club for movies. If you really want to become part of it, they have this great group on Facebook called the League of Show Sharers. All you have to do is join the group, share an episode. You get a shout out on the episode via Tom. There's a good chance he won't get your name right, but it will be on the internet for people to hear. And you get to join a community of people that's talking and enjoying about movies. The show is called Real Spoilers because they will spoil everything. There was a cease and desist letter that was drafted. We won't go into that, but it's all taken care of now. The cease and desist letter was basically just a tweet from Epic Film Guy Justin, but that's legally binding in most states.
It is. Yeah, it is. And most countries.
Oh, most countries.
Honestly.
That man somehow has the wrath of the legal department of Warner Brothers behind him. I mean, yeah.
Yes.
So he's actually not only seen the Schumacher cut, he actually was on set for most of the filming of Batgirl, and he knows all of it intimately, inside and out.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Holy cow.
Beetlejuice 2, he's already seen it.
He's Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that.
A lot of people don't know that. It will be Keaton when it's done, but they're going to deep fake Keaton's face on Justin's body.
Yeah. It's pretty neat how they do that now.
Yeah. Keaton's getting up there.
It's actually, they use the technology from Space Jam 2.
That's exactly right. Yes. Yeah.
That's how they do it.
Well, and Justin was on set for most of Space Jam 2: A New Legacy. Loved it, raved about it. He said it's the greatest superhero movie of all time.
He did the motion capture for all the Toon Squad.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Little Del Rey, or what's his name? Little Delroy?
Lil Rel Howery.
Rel Howery. Actually, Justin from Epic Film Guys. Deep fake.
What? Yeah, I don't know about that.
Well, he came in and did the line readings or whatever, but he couldn't physically be there on set. So he was the body double. They just copied and pasted like Photoshop and just plopped him on top of Justin. Yeah. Justin was the guy on set delivering a line.
Wow.
He was
all
They took him to Manhattan Beach, put him in the volume, shot his part, and then dumped it over top of Justin's footage.
The Volume.
Yep.
My arch nemesis.
That is the plug for your show. That's it. That's all I'm getting.
Thank you. Yes. Yep. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for making me watch this movie I still don't think it exists.
It does exist, and we are going to bring it back. 2K transfer.
I won't believe it until I see the DVD.
You're the one that's going to be feeding it to the AI for the 2K because I don't know how to do that. You're the tech guy.
I will create a 4K UHD version of this movie.
We should start a partnership between Real Spoilers and Binge Movies, where we become the Vinegar Syndrome for television movies that the rights are ambiguous for. Because that Tom has a Rolodex of them in his brain.
Mm-hmm.
We just go, Tom, give us 5 TV movies that might have a rights discrepancy, a lapse in copyright. And then he goes,
perfect.
Okay, blah, 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 blah. And then we go off and try to get those rights. If the rights have lapsed, we just start putting DVDs of them out or Blu-rays, put them right in the Walmart $5 bin.
I don't see how it
Who's
could
to
fail.
stop us?
Oh,
God?
I couldn't tell you.
God's on our side.
Well,
God's on our side.
there you go.
God wants the Camp Cucamonga back into the world.
Did you love this movie growing up?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
I didn't know if you had some kind of nostalgia.
No, I never cared. I never cared for it.
Got it.
Still
don't. Never will.
Never will. But I am going to buy the rights to it.
But I want the rights. so we can remake it and cash in on this sweet IP.
I don't even want to remake it. That's too much work. I just want to own it. Have you ever thought maybe I want to own it to make it disappear?
I think you want to sell it to Aniston.
And it would be the only person, I put a copyright claim against the Let's Write dudes or whatever.
After two dudes in a bungalow.
After 16 years, they get a copyright claim, and it's like, this guy owns the rights to this movie. DCMA claim.
You get all their revenue.
Yeah. Give me your revenue. Thank you.
$6.23.
Yeah, like 40 cents of it would be my own, the ads I had to sit through to watch it.
Could you, if they are monetized though, can you imagine first of all, 463,000 views. You were telling me right now, either one person watched it 500,000 times or 500,000 people watched this movie. What on earth?
Of the 500,000 people who've seen it, we're two of them.
And if you make $2-3 per thousand, 3 times 463,000, so
that's my money. You're counting
$1,200 they made off this thing.
That's my money. That's the value.
You know how many? You know how many DVDs we could buy with that money?
That's the current. 12? We could buy 12 DVDs of Camp Cucamonga. Yeah, it would take us 13 years to generate that kind of revenue. But we're gonna do it.
All right. Where can they find you?
They can find me at Binge Movies on Twitter, as long as it exists. At Binge Movies lives on Instagram. Binge Movies on Letterboxd. Binge Movie Patreon.com/Binge Movies. Don't have Threads yet. Join the Patreon. Give us money so I can buy Camp Cucamonga. I need more patrons, not just to buy the DVD. I want to buy the rights.
Baby steps.
I need 100 patrons. So, and then I will try to buy the rights to Camp Cucamonga. 100. Either that's going to have to be a Kickstarter, and then me and Kevin will say either we're buying Camp Cucamonga or we're going to start our own game show that's movie trivia based, and then we'll take the money, and then we'll just buy houses with it. That's a deep cut internet reference. If you get that reference, you're old, and you should be ashamed of yourself. All right, I'm tired. I'm slap happy. It's time to just dump some water on this fire and go to bed. Get into our sleeping bags, Kevin. We only have one, so we're gonna have to share.
All right. Well, it's gonna be cozy.
Yeah, I actually have a Urkel sleeping bag I got back there that we're going to be tucked into together.
Oh,
yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
And you know what? I have a Carl Winslow sleeping bag.
You brought your own sleeping bag? I told you I'd take care of that.
I thought you were supposed to bring one.
Yeah. You were supposed to bring the Ernest pillowcases.
Oh, well, I always keep those on my person.
Yeah, they're yellow, but yeah, they're vintage.
Yeah.
Yeah. They get that nice hair grease smell,
All right. Binge on.
Binge on.